Today we are explaining explorative model in a way to make generative models more expressive by changing how they train.
What is the central problem with the way generative models are usually scaled?
A classifier usually has one correct answer for an input. A generator does not. A request such as make a dog can have many valid outputs. These alternatives are modes of the data distribution. If a model cannot represent enough modes, direct prediction averages them together, while diffusion and flow models avoid that blur by breaking generation into many inference steps.
So the paper is looking for a third way to increase expressivity without making inference a long procedure.
Exactly. Explorative modeling, or XM, factors the training loop instead of factoring generation. During one training step, the model creates candidate matches, compares them with the data, and backpropagates through the best match. The candidates explore different modes during training, while the trained model can still generate in one forward pass.
What does the training versus generation trade-off look like in the paper's overview?
The axes show two independent choices. Factoring generation creates a many-step sampler. Factoring training adds exploration. Existing models mostly use the first choice but not the second. XM moves upward on the training axis, and end-to-end XM reaches the upper left corner, more expressive training with direct generation.
How does the best match objective actually preserve different modes?
In forward XM, the model samples several outputs from different latent choices, while one target is held fixed. The loss is the minimum distance between that target and the K outputs. A candidate only needs to cover the target it matches, so different candidates can specialize in different parts of the distribution instead of all being pushed toward the same average.
And reverse XM searches the data side instead of the generated side.
Right. Reverse XM fixes one generated sample and compares it with K possible data targets. The direction changes, but the purpose is the same. Search over alternatives during training so the model is rewarded for making a precise match rather than a compromise. The two directions can also be combined. The forward objective is written as L of theta equals the minimum over I of J of Y hat I and X. L is the training loss. J measures the match. X is the observed target, and the minimum selects the candidate that explains that target best. This equation is the key reason exploration can increase expressivity without changing the inference procedure.
What changes when the model searches across data targets?
The reverse objective is L reverse of theta equals the minimum over I of J of Y hat and Xi. Now I hat is fixed and the closest target receives the learning signal. The paper's analysis connects this direction to reverse KL behavior, but also warns that reverse XM can collapse without an entropy term. That asymmetry is why the choice of direction matters.
Does exploration help only a new model, or can existing generators use it too?
The experiments say it transfers across model families and modalities. Increasing K improves image FID and video FVD, and it also improves language model results. The paper therefore treats exploration as a third pre-training axis alongside model size and training data. The gain is especially important at scale. As parameters and data grow, the bottleneck shifts toward the number of modes the generator can express. The efficiency claims are concrete. Exploration improves FLOP efficiency by 4.1 times, sample efficiency by 6.2 times, and parameter efficiency by 47%. On ImageNet, adding exploration to a strong representation autoencoder recipe reaches an unguided G/FID of 1.43. The result is not limited to a weak baseline. The strongest tuned recipe still benefits.
The same idea replaced the long inference chain in control tasks.
That is the paper's second major claim. End-to-end explorative policy matches diffusion policy on behavior cloning while using one network evaluation instead of 100. On the listed tasks, it reaches 100% on lift and can, 96% on square, 74% on transport, and 96% on tool Heng, matching or exceeding the diffusion baseline despite the much smaller inference budget.
Is that advantage specific to action prediction, or does it also appear in world modeling?
It also appears in goal-conditioned maze-to-D world modeling. The end-to-end explorative world models match the diffuser baselines while using as little as 16 to 256 times less inference compute, depending on the comparison. This matters because the method moves the expensive search into training, where candidates can be batched, instead of repeating the search at every generated step.
What does the qualitative evidence show beyond the aggregate scores?
The visual comparison focuses on consequences of interaction. With no exploration, the model can produce a plausible frame while failing to move the contacted object or propagate the effect. As K grows, the predictions better capture displacement after collision, deformation under gravity, chain reactions, and changing shadows. These are exactly the downstream effects that mode averaging tends to erase. The comparison with mini-batch optimal transport is also instructive. That alternative tries to improve the coupling directly, But in the reported image experiment it worsens FID from 46.3 to 50 for 0.5 for small models and from 70 for 0.4 to 80 to 0.7 for base models. Exploration is not simply any matching rule, its candidates are tied to the model's own generative choices.
What should we keep in mind about the scope of these results?
The paper does not claim that every generator immediately becomes end-to-end. It reports the clearest gains for models with a latent choice to explore, and it notes that autogessive language models are the hardest case. Exploration also increases training cost, even though inference stays unchanged. So the trade-off is deliberate: spend more computation during learning to reduce mode collapse and make the deployed generator simpler.
So what is the paper's final claim in one sentence?
Explorative modeling turns multimodem generation into a training time search. Increasing the number of candidate matches adds generative expressivity as a third scaling axis, improves efficiency and benchmark results, and can replace long inference chains with direct generation.
That makes the extra training computation a way to buy simpler and more capable generation.
That wraps up this paper workflow.